Folks, we are roughly 1 month away from E3 2019, and let me tell you, I am very excited for this year's E3. E3 is always a very fun time in the video game industry. You learn about new video game projects, you get more information on projects that you knew existed. It's always just such a fun time. There's big surprises, big announcements, and it's always just a lot of glitz and glamour, and just a great time to be a video game fan. And I think this year's E3 is going to be one of the most interesting E3s that we've seen in the past few years. Of course, Sony will not be partaking in this year's E3 2019, so all eyes are on the two other companies, Nintendo and Microsoft. And I thought to myself, it would be fun to talk about what you should expect to see at E3 2019 from these two companies, and what I think we should expect to see as well as far as new announcements or potential surprises. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Nintendo's E3 2019, what I expect to see from Nintendo at this event, and what sort of surprises they may have up their sleeve. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about Nintendo's E3 2019 and what to expect.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So this year is going to be a very different year for Nintendo when it comes to E3, because this is the first time that there's an E3 presentation that Nintendo is partaking in, and they don't have a handheld console. Of course, the Nintendo 3DS is still somewhat around kicking, but Nintendo has had no future plans for that 3DS system. So there are no new games coming to the 3DS from Nintendo, which pretty much puts all of the focus on the Nintendo Switch. Of course, we talked about the death of the 3DS and what I thought about the system. Make sure you guys go check that out, and there will be subsequent videos on 3DS stuff, because I really enjoyed the library with that system. But honestly, I'm glad that they're shifting their focus from both the 3DS and the Nintendo Switch to solely the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch has been a huge success for them. It's been a really great system with a really unique library of games, and I think you're going to learn a lot more about upcoming games at this year's E3 2019. Of course, this summer is pretty packed when it comes to Nintendo Switch related games coming to us from Nintendo themselves. Some of the highlights include Fire Emblem. Of course, the new Fire Emblem game is coming out this summer. You also have Super Mario Maker 2 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 coming to the Nintendo Switch as a Nintendo Switch exclusive, and I definitely expect to see a lot of information about these three titles. And I think one game that's going to get a lot of press and publicity from Nintendo and a lot of information is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. This is honestly a pretty big deal for a Nintendo Switch exclusive. The Marvel Ultimate Alliance series is a very fun series, an action RPG series where you get a bunch of different Marvel characters together and go through different universes set within the Marvel timeline, and it's a really fun game, and it's really cool to see this coming to us as a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Marvel movies right now are a super hot commodity, and everyone is tied up in the Marvel universe that's a fan of this stuff. So I definitely foresee Nintendo heavily promoting this game. Of course, Super Mario Maker 2 is coming out at the end of June, which will be, of course, after E3 is announced, so I expect to see some information there. But I think Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is going to be a big star of the show, and I definitely think it should be alongside of Fire Emblem as well. Now, of course, you have other titles that are scheduled for 2019 that we still don't have a concrete release date for. You have games like Daemon X Machina, you have, of course, have Luigi's Mansion 3, and you have Animal Crossing. Will these three games be a part of Nintendo's presentation? More than likely, yes. Obviously, Daemon X Machina is supposed to come out sometime this summer. I'm pretty sure that there's not a concrete release date for that yet, but obviously they had that sort of trial where you could check out the demo of the game, and it needed a bit of work, but I think the core fundamentals of the game can be something that are very good. Now, obviously, Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion 3 are more than likely going to be holiday titles for the Nintendo Switch, and really, these are two very impressive games that could really catapult Switch sales even more so, especially Animal Crossing. People downplay the impact of Animal Crossing, but Animal Crossing sells phenomenally well. Animal Crossing was one of the best-selling games on the Nintendo 3DS, so I definitely foresee it being another huge seller on the Nintendo Switch. Personally, though, I would like to see some advancement of the Animal Crossing series. I absolutely love the original Animal Crossing on the GameCube, as there was really nothing quite like it. It was this unique game set in this unique world where you could customize a lot of different things, but it feels like not many different things have happened in the Animal Crossing universe. The Animal Crossing universe since then has never really made any huge jumps or strides, aside from the fact that they included things like online play. I definitely want to see an evolution of the Animal Crossing series, and hopefully the Animal Crossing game for the Nintendo Switch can be that evolution Evolution. It doubles as both a home console game and a portable game, so I really hope Nintendo is taking steps with that title. And then you have Luigi's Mansion 3. Of course, you had Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube, sort of an underrated game. A lot of people didn't really like it at first, but as time has gone on, I think people's perspective of that game has really changed. It was a really gorgeous looking game on the GameCube, and it really brought some interesting gameplay mechanics. It sort of played like a game that you wouldn't quite expect from Nintendo. You also got a subsequent sequel with Dark Moon on the Nintendo 3DS, which wasn't quite as good, I feel. You know, the sort of segmenting it, making it from a huge mansion where you could explore anything to just sort of segmented levels. I felt that kind of sort of, you know, drew away from the luster of the game. I liked the fact that it was this huge open mansion and you could explore it at your own pace once you acquired different things and keys to access different areas of the game. But I definitely think that was more of just a restriction with the 3DS. I could definitely see them going back to the original style of that game. Another game I can foresee being a star of the show is Astral Chain. When Astral Chain was first announced, I was like, what is this game? This game looks absolutely awesome. It looks so cool. It looks so different. It looks so unique. And I think Nintendo and Platinum Games are gearing up for something very, very special with Astral Chain. Astral Chain is supposed to come out on August 25th. So this is a game that, once again, it needs a lot of publicity. It's a game that I think will do well in a place like E3 because of how many different types of gamers there are. And people like hardcore games. I mean, this obviously looks like a very hardcore experience, definitely something that will be a great fit on the Nintendo Switch, and definitely a game that I want a ton of more information about. It's honestly one of my most anticipated games of 2019, so I hope they give a lot of time and effort to Astral Chain on the E3 show floor and with subsequent Treehouse presentations of it. Now, of course, you have two wildcard games that could be potentially shown at E3, but are games that we're not expecting in 2019 to be released, and that, of course, is Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4. Now, out of these two titles, I think you have a better chance of seeing Metroid Prime 4 than Bayonetta 3. And let me tell you why, because we have to once again go back to Astral Chain. I feel like Platinum Games will want to heavily promote Astral Chain and Nintendo as well. And having a game that's another Platinum game like Bayonetta, that's sort of similar in how it's a very action-adventure style game, I think that would kind of take away a bit of the luster and a bit of the vibe and a bit of the excitement for Astral Chain if they were to showcase Bayonetta 3 at this event. So I think Metroid Prime 4 has a better chance. Now, of course, this whole Metroid Prime 4 development cycle has supposedly been restarted, and a lot of people are expecting this game to come out in 2021, maybe even later for the Switch, but I feel like there is something that they can show from this. It may not be something, you know, heavily graphically intensive as far as gameplay is concerned, but I feel like maybe a CGI cutscene, maybe showing off the environments that Samus will be in, maybe showing off some of the different gameplay mechanics that are going to be in this version of the game. I think Metroid Prime 4 has a better chance of showing up at E3 more so than Bayonetta 3. Now, do I think either of these titles will be there? It's definitely tough to say. If you're looking at Nintendo's lineup of already announced stuff, it's pretty robust. Of course, you also have the new Pokemon game, which everyone is definitely really looking forward to as well. And then you have surprise projects. Could there be the Metroid Prime trilogy finally unveiled at this event? A lot of people are expecting this to be a thing. I swore that I wouldn't talk about it anymore after it didn't show up at the VGAs for 2018, but I still think that this thing is in development. I still think it exists. Now, of course, we have to talk about things that nobody knows about, nobody's expecting, and nobody really thinks will happen at this event. I think you're going to see a lot of third-party announcements for the Nintendo Switch at E3, and some of these will take place during Nintendo's presentation, because you know Nintendo likes to do these elongated Nintendo Directs at these presentations, and they usually have a third-party sizzle reel where they show off things. I'm not quite sure what games to expect. I'm really surprised that games like Call of Duty and games like Madden have not been announced for the Nintendo Switch yet. It seems so silly. It seems like there's so much money left on the table with this. A portable Call of Duty experience, if done right, can be very good. Obviously, Call of Duty was last released for a portable handheld with the PlayStation Vita, and they really designed that game with the PlayStation Vita in mind, and so I'm sort of surprised we haven't seen a Nintendo Switch Call of Duty yet. And of course, Madden is a huge selling franchise, especially in North America. It is the only football game available, and to not be on the Nintendo Switch is definitely a big surprise to me. Now, as far as other third-party companies are concerned, you've seen so many third-party games get announced in the first half of 2019, games that you weren't honestly expecting to come to the Nintendo Switch, so I definitely foresee a lot of surprises in Nintendo's third-party sizzle reel when it comes to upcoming third-party games. Now, as far as Nintendo surprises themselves are concerned, I don't know quite what to expect. Like I said, this year is very, very packed for Nintendo Switch stuff, but I think it needs to be. This is the most important year for the Nintendo Switch, in my opinion. 2019 is the year for the Nintendo Switch to shine. You have all these awesome games. You, of course, have the PS4 on its way out. You have the Xbox One on its way out, and I think Xbox is going to do some very interesting things as well at E3 2019. But I definitely foresee some cross stuff between Microsoft and Nintendo. I think that's going to be the big surprise at this event if I have to pick one. I think you're going to see some form of Xbox Live come to the Nintendo Switch. I do think you're going to see some form of Game Pass come to the Nintendo Switch. I think you're going to see first-party Xbox titles either being brought to the Nintendo Switch with a special version of these games, or maybe just completely ported over. You've seen this relationship happening. You've seen this thing with Microsoft and Nintendo playing nice. Microsoft has a lot to gain from this relationship by getting a stronghold in Japan where they are absolutely terrible. They don't sell any units in Japan. By being on a Nintendo platform, they will increase their revenue, and that's what Microsoft is interested in this console generation and the next console generation. Nintendo will, of course, get the added benefits of more games on their system, and of course, potentially better online, because we made a video a couple days ago talking about the Nintendo Switch's online service, and it's really just not up to par. It needs to be improved. There needs to be better things. Nintendo themselves have hinted at doing a premium Nintendo Switch online service. So what better way than to bring Xbox Live to the Nintendo Switch in some capacity? I don't think it'll be one-to-one by what you see on your Xbox One, but I do think there will be some very interesting Microsoft and Nintendo announcements at E3 2019 of them working together, and really the sky's the limit, and that's why I'm so excited for this year. I think this year there's going to be so many surprises. Is Xbox going to talk about their upcoming system? We'll save that for the Xbox dedicated E3 video that we'll be doing in a couple days on the channel, but those are my thoughts on what to expect at E3 2019 from Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch, and just some things I think that we could potentially see as well. So let me know in the comment section down below what sort of stuff you want to see at E3 from Nintendo. Do you think you'll see a lot of stuff with Nintendo and Microsoft working together? What sort of surprise games will be there? And of course, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.